If your Shiranui build looks something like this, congratulations, you've got the slowest possible variant. Hello duelist, Tomsalt here, and in this video I'll be going over the current Shiranui build I'm building. Still refining right now, but it's actually made some pretty decent progress. Sadly, to inform you, the best way to play Shiranui is to actually not play very many Shiranuis. It's more of a zombie deck more than Shiranui, and Shiranui is more of a tech that's supporting the uni-zombie engine. To be honest, like, Shiranois cause so much handbricking, and it's so slow when you try to compete it with the meta that it doesn't work out. You need to abuse Uni-Zombie Mizuki more than anything, and there's only one card that does a really good job of it, and it's in the Dark Illusion set, so it won't be even coming out in the Shining Victories. So this is a deck that's, of course, before its time to shine, and some of these cards may even actually get hit before you even get a chance to play it. So here we go. Just take this as a deck concept for you guys to build upon when you build your Shiranuis. And there's tons of different builds for this deck because of the way that the deck works. But this is my variant, which I would call the Psyframe Omega Turbo. You can actually just pump out Psyframe Omegas out pretty quickly, much faster than most other decks, even faster than Psyframes. But you can actually pump out 2 Omegas, and it becomes very difficult for them to even make a single play. Anyways, here we go. Let's start off with the Uni-Zombies. I'm not going to try to go into detail of every single card, but here we go. Uni-Zombies is one of your, I guess, best cards in the deck. It is your engine card paired with the Sage. Uni-Zombie, of course, can act as a free dump for your Mizukis, and also can ditch Mizukis from hand, but your main 3 ditches will be Mizuki, Goblin Zombie, and Trick Clown. I only run 2 Mizukis. The main reason why I only run 2 Mizuki is because I don't like bricking with his hand. Normal summoning is super important in this deck, which is why I decided to go with the Gemknight Seraphonite engine. And the Gemknight Seraphonite will give you the extra normal summon. It does help out a lot. Only a pair of Goblin Zombie. Again, it's a normal summoning card. You want to throw this into the graveyard and just revive it, and then just start synchroing with it. It is a synchro based deck, so your tuners being Uni-Zombie and one of the Spectral Sword. Triple Sage. Triple Sage is basically your lone fire. If you actually manage to summon out a Goblin Zombie, you can tribute your Goblin Zombie to give yourself a new tuner. Then Goblin Zombie will actually fetch your Mizuki for you. Now the reason why you only run 2 Mizuki is because those 2 Mizukis is a bit misleading. It's actually, you're going to be reusing their effect 4 or 5 times in one game, and that's how fast you can get your Psyframe Omegas out. I only run 1 Spectral Sword because, honestly, Spectral Sword, you run 1 copy of Spectral Sword. He eats up with normal summon. I don't like that. He's preferred to be in the grave because he has better access in the grave. He can actually summon more stuff in the grave. However, I'm only using him as a name to actually bring out Shogun Saga. Aside from that, I don't really care about him. Shogun Saga can push so much damage and puts a lot of board pressure the moment he comes out because, well, he banishes another Shiranui card or zombie card in your graveyard to gain that attack, and that is actually a very significant boost because if you banish a priest or a sage, you can actually revive some of your other cards. But this deck does not focus around using Shogun Saga at all, so that's why I've cut the Shiranuis that require normal summoning to a minimum, and mainly these guys are just hand fodders. You don't want to open with Priest. Priest is great to be banished, but you don't want to open with it, which is why I don't run very many copies of the traps either. Priest is like, it's kind of nice to have, but aside from that, you can use it to revive a Sage, and then use Sage to banish himself to revive a Sword. But aside from that, I don't really like this dude. He's best worked with the trap, and not really good in your opening hand, because he does eat up a lot of cards in your hand, and Shiranuis don't exactly have the best ways to replenish cards in their hand, except in the form of Goblin Zombie. Trick Clowns and Gemknight Garnets are basically for Brilliant Fusion. I'm using the Brilliant Fusion engine. I use Instant Fusions over Book of Life because Book of Life cannot be used in turn 1 unless you use discard cards for your opponent, but I don't like using cards that forces my opponent to discard because if they don't discard a monster, I still can't do anything about it. This gives you an extra body, so you can actually make Xyz plays, and also you can go 1 card, Clear Wing Synchro Dragon, which is pretty nice. Triple Upstart, 1 Gold Sark. Gold Sark, I kind of want to cut it because I'm not running the Necrophases anymore, but aside from just hitting Necrophase targets, you can actually use it to hit the Priest, hit the Sage. It's actually it's okay. It's a bit sacky right now in this build, so I'm actually considering cutting this right now. Foolish Burials from Mizuki, or Goblin Zombie, or Trick Clown. You know, you got targets for this card. Twin Twister. Most of your stuff you want in the graveyard anyway, which is why I'm running a pair of Twin Twister. And you would actually, like, Twin Twisters, like, you can go first or second, and you can still do something about it. You could set your Twin Twisters if you really want to. Preferably not. If your Twin Twister gets blown away by your opponent's Twin Twister, it doesn't feel very good. Burial is a sack card of the deck. Basically, throws in Mizuki's and when you go off. Triple Brilliant Fusion. Brilliant Fusions allows you to open double Omega. If you actually have Brilliant Fusion, a Uni Zombie or Sage, and a well, either Instant Fusion or Soul Charge, you can either go double Omega or triple Omega on your turn 1. And then that means your opponent cannot play with their hand whatsoever. They're stuck because they're losing 3 cards out of their hands when they play. So you got the best tempo. 2 Zombie Worlds. Now, why am I running 2 Zombie Worlds? Zombie Worlds are just really strong, especially with Mizuki. It allows you to revive all your dudes. All your synchros are semi-nomies, so as long as you synchro summon them properly, you can actually revive them with Mizuki, as long as Zombie World's changing their type into a zombie. So if I've had a game where I lost my entire board due to some, well, he emptied his entire hand and he Dark Hold, killed off my entire board, so I lost my pair of Omegas, and then I top deck a Zombie World, and I'm like, oh, play Zombie World. Revive Omega, attack for game. That was very simple, very easy. Quite sacky, in fact. But of course, the most useful thing about this card is it can give your monsters the ability to attack even if you use Uni Zombie's effect, because that is the one strange restriction about this deck, is that your Uni Zombies don't allow you to attack if you use this effect. A pair of Chicken Race and a Terraforming, because I'm using field spells. Soul Charge, pretty sacky. You can triple Omega, double Omega. You can make a lot of really annoying boards. And try to go into your synchros that can float. And I run 1 Shiranui Styles of Sword of Swallow because, well, that plus Goblin Zombie is a +2. Let's face it, who doesn't want a free +2? And you can blow up 3 cards and then add 1 card back. It's pretty amazing. A pair of Strikes and a Warning. I tried to use triple Sword Slash with more Shiranuis, but then I realized when you get a brick hand, you get a really dead hand. Like, you can be like, summon 1, set 1, go. They play MST, you basically lose the game. You don't want that to happen. So in the sideboard here, I am basically playing all the other techs that I actually tried out, and these are the ones that I would not immediately dismiss. In fact, I would actually alter the build to try these out a little bit further. So you have Pyramid Turtle with Creature Swap. This is the reminiscence of the good old Diva Zombie days where you just give them like a really crappy Pyramid Turtle, run it over, get yourself the plus, so then basically you take control of the free monster your opponent controls. Ghost Ogres as your hand trap because it can work with the Brilliant Fusion, and it's also a light tuner. It gives you a little more options in terms of your synchros. But it's not bad. You can also run E-Telly in pair with this. Raigeki is Raigeki. So I can also consider using Triple Mizuki. Triple Mizuki isn't that bad. He's not one of the worst ones that you can open in your hand. But you definitely don't want Gem Knights, you don't want Trick Clowns, and you definitely don't want any guys from the bottom row. You don't exactly want. You don't mind opening the guys in the top row. In fact, you want a good mix of 2 or 3 of the guys on the top row, but a good decent mix of, like, well, preferably Brilliant Fusion. Zombie Master, well, I did like Zombie Master, but I just don't like opening with it. And then to the point that I actually kind of cut him because I rather play a much more consistent game without opening with him, because he's pretty dead in your hand. But he is very useful because he does well, it does revive your Uni Zombies and get your combos to go off again. And he's a zombie himself, so you can actually attack. Attacking is a bit of an issue with this deck right now. Dragon's Mirror, and of course, Dragon Necro, the Nether Soul Dragon. This guy is, well, basically, if you actually play a heavier Shiranui build, you can actually play triple Dragon's Mirror, focus on just milling your deck of all the Shiranui. Sadly enough, you can't use the Reasoning Engine because all the guys can be normal summoned. But yeah, if you use Dragon's Mirror, you can actually banish 2 to summon Nether Soul. Nether Soul's a 3k beat stick that, well, basically can put in a lot of damage if his attacks go through. You can read up his effect. If you actually run more Shiranuis, you can actually run more of the Sword of Swallows, but the best target of the deck is still Goblin Zombie. Goblin Zombie is just +2. I also consider, if you're not going to run, of course, you're not going to run Zombie Master, you can consider running the field spell, Reincarnation Formation. This card is basically a Zombie Master without using a summon, but you have to have no monsters to actually use that effect. Or you can put one of your zeros back into the graveyard, but I don't see the point of that in my current build. Perhaps you can put back the swords or the sages, and then you can rebanish them to get like major places. You can actually re-establish a good field if you actually really try to use this deck, this card. Another most common tech that everyone uses is, of course, Necrophase. Necrophase is a very sacky card because it can try to trigger a lot of Shiranui effects, but sadly enough, if you do use Necrophase, that means I would play one copy and then keep the Gold Sark in just to like kind of hinder your opponent's deck, but then aside from that, I don't like Necrophase. It's very sacky, and if you don't sack the right cards, like I tried it against Draco Pals, if you don't hit their one of cards, you sped up their deck for free. That's how I felt when I played it against a Draco Pal deck, and it was not very fun doing that for them, because then they easily established their combo much quicker. Like, you got rid of their upstarts, you got rid of their 1 or 2 copies of Draco Face Up. It's not too bad, but then that means they're just not going to draw into like dead cards. Like, hitting a painful decision. Like, I want to kill off 3 of 1 card or their 1 of cards. I don't want them to have the option, but Necrophase doesn't guarantee that. But then, of course, you want to use Necrophase to trigger off your Shiranui effects. Like, if you want to banish a Sage Priest and something else, you're like, oh yeah, I'll use Sage and Priest's effect, and then you get a plus out of it. But it's really random, and it's not as good as like playing at Reasoning and milling 20 cards, because you can just mill a bunch of spells and then you just brick yourself. Or if you mill off all your traps, then your opponent will go play a much more aggressive game against you, and that's like the feel I kind of got out of playing Necrophase. Duels of the Valiant. This card is very interesting. Not exactly built for a Shiranui deck, but it does have its uses, particularly because Mizuki is an earth and the rest of the Shiranuis are fires. One of the best parts about this is when you banish a Mizuki, mainly the only card that you will banish is a Mizuki, and it has to be banished from your graveyard nonetheless. You can send another attribute monster from your deck to the graveyard, so you can throw it into Spectral Swords. But sadly, if you banish a Spectral Sword, you can't do it because you have to only banish exactly 1. So only Mizuki can trigger this effect, which is why I did not consider putting this card in. If you guys can figure out a way to play this card, by all means let me know. Let me go into the extra deck now. Pair of Seraphonite for the Brilliant Fusion, Norden, a pair of Norden because I don't use the Book of Life. I don't like Book of Life going first. And against Pendulum decks, they rarely have a graveyard unless they immediately go into the bigger plays, which is kind of common for Draco Pals. Triple Omega because why not? Omega is your boss monster, and you don't have to use Uni-Zombies once you establish, because it's very hard to get rid of Omega, let's be honest. You can't Raigeki this guy. This guy's just going to rip your hand apart. 1 Chaofeng. Why am I using like the Legend of the Yangzing Chaofeng? This guy is like, well, basically, if you don't have the option of using Sage turn 1 to go into your first Omega, but you do have access to 1 Mizuki or 1 Goblin Zombie, you can definitely make this guy not the best opening. It's actually a tell that you didn't open very well. You can't go into your Sage. It's a tell that you don't have a Sage. That's kind of crappy. However, if you do make this guy, you basically go Uni-Zombie, dump basically a Mizuki and a Goblin Zombie, boost your level to 5, so now you're level 5 tuner. You revive the Goblin Zombie, synchro him off. Now you can get yourself another copy of, you can get your copy of Sage. Not only can you get your copy of Sage, you can either get Mizuki as well if you really want the Mizuki, but when he dies, you get a tuner. So, any tuner. So, that's the benefit of using a Chaofeng. 1 copy of the Shogun Saga, 1 copy of the Samurai Saga, the only guys that the Spectral Sword can go into. But your other main monster is Clear Wing Synchro Dragon. He's the easy instant fusion. You can summon out, well, Uni-Zombie and another dude and just immediately make him. Black Rose is basically your version of Exciting, your board clear, your Dark Hole, your full wipe. It's pretty good, especially if you just instant fusion this card. Basically it turns instant fusion to a full board wipe, including clearing the Black Rose, so it's not too bad. 1 Emerald, I've been considering what to shuffle back into the deck, but for now, basically the rank 4s you don't have to care about. I would keep a Dweller and a Castell just for decks that really depend on the graveyard, so you can have a bit of control over your opponent. And Castell's answers problems, and Daigo Star Emerald can shuffle stuff back into the deck if you're really, really burnt out. And you can revive a Gemini Garnet if you really want to. I don't really know how to use them properly. Or I might actually consider other cards over this. Possibly a Beals. Yes. Possibly I would consider a Beals over that slot, because Beals is kind of annoying, and to be honest, it's pretty easy to summon with this, because you just need a Dark Tuner and just non-Dark Tuner monsters, and that's basically Unizombie and anyone else. And that's basically it for the deck profile. Let's go into some of the awesome replays. I got 3 replays for you guys, so you can stick around and watch it all. And that is it for the replay. I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you guys have any suggestions to the deck and how you would build the deck, please leave it down in the comment section below. And as always, please give me a thumbs up if you like the video, and subscribe if you want to see more videos from MST.TV. Don't forget to check out the giveaway and follow me on Twitch, where I play random ass decks. And as always, don't forget to hold on to your twin twister.tv.